for a little bit, okay? If you don't know that, that's Yoruba. I think that's Yoruba speak for alcohol, if you don't know. And I think Igbo, well, that has a couple different meanings, but it's weed. So it's like I need weed and alcohol. That's what he's saying. All right, back in the game. I ain't drinking until yo, my sleep schedule is fucked. Yo, chat. Okay. All right, let me get everybody online. Let's get everybody online. Yo, Charlamagne, we live? All right, I'm just trying to make sure we on. We on. Wait, is King Akademiks on? No. Oh, we're not on there. Wait, why not? Okay, we are. Are we? I think we should be live everywhere. Yeah, we are. Okay. The chat should start rolling up on the screen. Hey, by the way, I keep telling y'all, R Block is challenging to have their chats on the screen. They tied of that. They tied of the King Akademiks shit on there. Actually, no, it's the Academy that got the chat space. Or they're contending for a separate chat just right above that chat over there. So like another chat above it, and I could just put like Rumble, and then maybe we still keep the Academy. But I do see people over Kick. They kicking up. They actually want some chats, some screen space too. I think the people over at King Akademiks just be cooling. Usually the biggest audience we have over there, but not recently because we streamed a week solely on the Academy, at least on YouTube. All right. Anyway, why the chats didn't start popping up here? What's going on? What's going on? Let me see. Hey, shit pop up. I don't know. Okay. Am I tripping? They trying to do me like Pusha T. Yo, I've been trying to get like understand of why that Pusha T shit is like important, and I'm like, huh? Like I'm really like so confused about it. I'm gonna try to get into it though. What the fuck? Why is my chats not popping up? Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna have to read it the old school way. I'm gonna have to just open it up on the browser here. So, hey, Lady Shan, what's up with you? Or is it Lady Shan? She said, Dea. Uriah Allen. He says, you get some rest, Act? I did. By the way, we got the same last name, girl. Are we family? Don't let me start looking at you and now we family. I ain't gonna try to get on my Kevin Gates shit. First of all, I did get sleep. Yes, last night I forced myself to go to sleep at a reasonable time, okay? Because I didn't tell y'all this yesterday, but I'll come clean today. So, first of all, I have a new perspective on the case, chat. Whole new perspective on the case. I'm gonna tell you why. Yesterday, I'm covering the case. We getting lit. We turn. Y'all know how I give it up in the mornings. We're doing our normal due diligence, right? Chat. This little bottle of Ciroc got me all the way gone. Yo, they gotta test this bitch for GHB. Now I see what Cassie and them was talking about. Chat, y'all see me drink Tito's? I mean, I haven't drank Henny in a while. Y'all see me drink tequila, and I'm Gucci. Yo, chat, when I was done with this shit, Unc was playing. I said, hold on, let me go to the bathroom. I gotta take a piss real quick. I took a piss, and I was like, Unc gonna hold it down for 5 minutes. For whatever reason, I said, let me lay down. So I'm laying on the carpet. Y'all gotta see my surveillance camera. I'm laying on the carpet. I could hear the voice. I could hear Unc's voice. I'm like, let me just chill for 2 seconds, and then I'm about to go back up in the streaming room. God damn it. Nigga, when I woke up, I heard absolute silence, and I'm like, I'm still on stream. I don't even know how long I was going for. I was definitely sleeping. So now, of course, I'm panicking. Stupid ass me and panicking like a motherfucker, right? I'm trying to figure out, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was gonna come up with a convenient lie. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna lie yesterday. Try not to lie, but I was gonna make up a lie. And then I was just like, nah, there's no way to explain it. Nigga, I cut the power off in my whole house just to cut the stream. Nigga, I went to the breakers and just shut it down. Shut it down, nigga. And then I got back on. Yeah, I was sleeping like a motherfucker. Did y'all know? The reason, I would have made up some excuse. I feel like it's a white lie. I would have made up some excuse, but I didn't want y'all to think there was something serious. I want y'all to think that, because, you know, they've been doing a lot of weird stuff at the crib. Like, you know, people have been, you know, whoever the trolls are, they're sending a lot of people to the house. So, like, I've been dealing with that. And y'all see the police came here. So I didn't want to get y'all alarmed like I was in trouble or danger. I was cool. But I ain't going to lie, this goddamn Ciroc, and I think I'm a little bit sleep deprived because now I get up at 6. I'm up at 6 o'clock. I do like my little construction shit till like about 9. I'm dealing stuff with my dogs. That's why I get on at 10 now. Just because like I could get on at 9, but anyway. So yeah, anyway, the point of everything I'm saying is, man, this little bottle of Ciroc, and I'm telling you, y'all have seen me on here drink way more. This fucking bottle of Ciroc had me slumped. Now, the good thing about when you've been drinking for 15 years, the moment I woke up, I don't even know how long I slept for. The moment I woke up, I was sober. Sober as a motherfucker. Sober. So today, not only did I sleep longer, like I forced myself to get in bed at around midnight. So I'm like, let me get about 6 hours because I'm going to get up at 6 or 7, so 7 hours. And then I got 2 coffees, and I think I'm good to go today, Chad. So we should be good. We won't be drinking. We won't drink till like 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, we can bust out the alcohol. We eventually got to bust it out. But this is morning lawyer demics. Let's get the coffee going on. But I had to come clean with y'all with that, all right? Had to come clean. And by the way, I love y'all so much. I see a lot of you guys always concerned. I read all your messages. Like, I forgot. Someone said, they were like, yo, listen, we've been listening to you for 6 to 8 hours a day for like damn near almost 10 years. Bro, we just want to make sure you're good. Are you good? I've seen people do mental health checkup on me. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. I hope I support you emotionally just like how you guys support me. Thank you. All right. Now I'm on, and now you guys know exactly what happened. Now we can get back into the trial. So we're going to start off with that. I kind of want to do the Pusha T thing, but I'm going to do it at lunch. I ate a little bit before, so I don't really need to eat at lunch. So when they're taking lunch, I'll just do hip-hop topics. So I'll do the Pusha T shit. Yo, the Cam interview is classic. I might do that in between while we're waiting for tweets. Cam interviewed the Punisher guy. And remember I told you the Punisher guy was like mad like he was a Cameron Punisher. He's like mad like, you know, he just answers a question. He doesn't put no sauce on it. I told you, he's very straight edge. Pause. Yo, Cam had that dude on there talking about all type of shit. Cam was like, man, fuck all that. How was the pussy? And I ain't gonna lie to you, even me as an interviewer, you know what I was thinking? I was like, that would be a question that you would get killed for. It's like, you remember when Charlamagne had asked the question about, he asked a question to, I think it was the dude that's half black and half white. What's his name again? It's not Jack Harlow. It's the other guy. Logic. I think he asked Logic. He's like, yo, Logic, who raped your sister? like he had asked certain questions, and niggas was like, yo, what type of question is that, bro? I thought niggas was going to get at Cam for that. Basically saying, bro, you asking the sex worker how the pussy was when the woman later on is crying about the sex? But I ain't gonna lie, Cam is so funny. People just like let it rock. So we're going to get into that. It's super hilarious. It's entertaining. Shout out to Cam. I ain't gonna lie, this Talk with Fleet thing is gonna take off. It's already taken off, so all good. Let's get caught up in court real quick, chat. Let's get caught up in court. By the way, I seen one of y'all DMs. I keep telling you, I read all my DMs. Just DM me on my personal account. Even if I don't open it, it's in my request, and I see it. I look at even the hidden. And somebody said there is a YouTuber. I didn't even know about this YouTuber. They said a YouTuber named, you ever heard about this person? They said her name is, what's her name? Surprise Witness? They said this person was telling people or said on their stream, they were like, yo, we need to get the government to investigate ACT for doxing Mia. Shut up. Shut up. We gonna figure out who everybody else is. I'm sorry. I'm nosy. I'm gonna figure out everybody is. And there's nothing you can do about it, okay? Anyway, shout out to that person. I don't got no problem with him, but that was just interesting. And wait, is everybody just giving me the credit? Well, I guess the chat did figure it out. Okay, let's get in court real quick, chat. We got to get caught up. Remember, Jane Doe is taking a stand today, and Jane Doe should be on the stand supposedly until Monday, and that's only the direct. So we got to go through direct. We got to go through cross. By the way, what's going on with King Akademiks, man? King Akademiks getting half the views as the Academy now. The Academy's busting. Okay, so let's start out. I usually like playing inner city press doing his vlog or his walk-up vlog to the court. Where does it start? Give me 1 second. Okay, so there we go. All right, let's watch a little bit of this. He usually talks about half the time about the trial, and then he gets into like some other court cases. We'll cut it there, and then we'll get into court and read everything we could read, okay? By the way, yes, again, we're not doing these things, and I'm not trying to find out who these surprise witnesses are. We're just inquisitive. I'm not trying to tell you to go harass, bully, or anything of these people that we're finding out, but we're trying to make this shit make some sense, okay? We clearly have a public interest in the case. And I actually, maybe a Jane Doe, well, Mia was a victim as well. I do think that if you're making some of these accusations and we could hear them about that person, whether he's a public person or not, I don't think that everybody should be able to hide behind the Jane Doe, okay? Now, granted, these people are being seen in court, but I do think it is in public interest for people to know who the accusers are as well, okay? Anyway, that could be a difference of opinion, and we can talk about that later, but let's get into what was going to go on today.
Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. We're heading into now day 16 of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial. Things were heating up. Yesterday, there was a woman who began speaking before the jury came in, saying, "Diddy, they're out to get you." She was summarily removed. There was some other talk. We may have more on this later, but there were two main witnesses yesterday. One was Eddie Garcia. He was the one who asked for immunity, and it became clear why. Basically, he asked, or he says that Combs and Christina Coram talked him into it, but he ended up taking $100,000 cash out of a cash counter in a L.A. condo unit to disappear the video of Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura. This is going to be pushed as obstruction of justice, pretty clearly. But they didn't draw the point on there. They just got his testimony.
By the way, and I know y'all, some of y'all hate me with the interjections, but we always try to give a little bit of more additive knowledge. So obstruction of justice, I've been looking into it, and remind me, we could, we'll get a little crash course, a minute or two of a lawyer speaking about it. I think obstruction of justice only applies when there is some type of knowledge of a investigation or a possibility of an investigation. You get what I'm saying? Now, well, I guess that would, I'm answering my own question, it seems. I guess that would fall under obstruction of justice. Now, granted, if they did it thinking that the police would never be involved or that there won't ever be investigation, that could be a, obviously it's not like a murder or something. It could be like an accessory, but not necessarily obstruction of justice because you didn't impede an investigation, right? You didn't impede it, right? So...
Same thing with this CFO of various Combs entities known as Derek Ferguson. He actually said some praiseworthy things, particularly on cross, but even on some on direct, about the Combs enterprises. But the whole point of his testimony was to point to a particular transaction involving the company that owns, the LLC that owns.
By the way, I'm trying to get the chat back on the screen. So give me a second.
Or owned Combs' Alpine, New Jersey house. There was a mysterious $20,000 in and a $20,000 out. Reginald Ventura was mentioned. That's the father of Cassie Ventura. And if listeners will remember that Combs, in a fit of pique, called up Cassie's parents and said he was going to release the sex tape unless they paid him $20,000, which honestly he didn't need. This was actually one of the most mean-spirited things that's been testified to. He then later returned the money. So they basically showed. So there's another predicate, another RICO predicate, extortion. Now, the big witness coming up is Jane. That's a pseudonym, and we respect that, for the record, as we did in the first case, absent errors by presentation. Jane will be testifying from late today through Thursday, Friday, and into Monday, and then there'll be cross-examination. They say it may last until next Thursday when she has a flight to leave the country. So is that their last witness? I think that there's some other things they're going to need to nail down, travel records of the escorts, etc. But we're on it. We're all over it, and we may have more to say. Also on the threads front, yesterday, many complaints about broken threads. We tried to fix it by limiting replies. It definitely seemed to work, but there were some who didn't like it, and I personally like replies too. So we may go back to the original way. We'll just have to see if that works. Now, what else can we say? Oh, here's kind of, actually, let's get serious. On the immigration front, there's a guy called Robert Panton. We covered his case. He is here for a long time, but he definitely didn't, he's here illegally. Anyway, he brought a habeas petition.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll get into court now. I think what happens is that I would have to restart my OBS to get that fixed. I think maybe all alerts might be off today. So I'm going to have to check them manually. So if you're typing or you're sending a donation, it won't pop up on stream. Damn. And if I cut the stream, we're going to lose all these people, right? So you might have to just tough it out with me for today. I have to restart the computer. I don't know why it does it like this. Okay. All good. All good. All good. By the way, we also do have some updates on the Cardi B files. We're going to do it at lunch, right? So at lunchtime, we'll do Cardi B shit, Pusha T shit, top 5 stuff. Did I see what happened with top 5? Okay, I'll give y'all an update then. Let me write it down. Cardi B, oh shit. Cardi B, Pusha T, top 5. All right, we got 3 topics. All right, cool. So here we are, and we're back in court yet again. Okay, this is trial week 3, and today is day 16. Now, just to give you guys the pretty much breakdown of what's left, this is pretty much one of the last victims we're going to hear. And we're probably then, just like Matthew Russell said, we're going to hear these other people who are going to, whether it may be a psychologist or whether it might be somebody who booked some flights or somebody, ancillary people that, were integral to the business, how the money was flowing, how people were moving around, how it was being facilitated or the cover-ups was being facilitated, even if they had knowledge or not. And there's still some big questions remain to be asked. Where are the bodyguards? Where is D-Rock? Where is Uncle Paulie? Where is, by the way, Uncle Paulie's alive, right? I don't know why he sounds old. No disrespect. Where is Roger Bonds? Roger Bonds, D-Rock, Uncle Paulie. Where are those 3? And then, of course, where's KK? KK clearly is somewhere in the winds because she does have an attorney. Will she testify on behalf and for the government? And what would that cooperation deal look like? I would imagine they got to be threatening her with like, yo, listen. Again, brings back Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell didn't really rat out Jeffrey Epstein. And what happened even after Jeffrey Epstein passed away, they fucking charged her and said, you got to go to jail too. So again, I'm pretty sure KK is probably doing a cost analysis here. She loves Diddy. Don't know if that's romantically or just loyal as an employee, but it looks like she's not trying to sink her former partner or boss or whatever. And she's also probably thinking about the liability that she has, even though she probably could get immunity. And I think she's kind of weighing it to say, yo, if Diddy's cooked and I try to hold it down, I'm going to jail too. That's the thing they got to think about, right? Like, some of these people might be like, Diddy, like, we fuck with you. It's not like we want to turn on you, but nigga, you're cooked, right? So if you're cooked, at some point, you got to be save yourself type mode. So we'll see how that happens, all right? So before the jury came in today, the judge says, what about the witness conflicts with other romantic partners, okay? They said the last one was with a colleague, not a girlfriend, okay? Interesting. So basically they're talking about the impending testimony of this Jane Doe that we don't know who it is. Shapiro says this is impeachment material, okay? Once again, the defense could bring in material that they feel shows that a prior testimony was lies. So if you said, no, I was crying all day after he beat my ass, next day they see you turning up on a yacht, they think they could, even if they find the video overnight, it's valid for them to introduce it as impeachment material because it directly goes against what you just said on the stand. So, you would have to imagine Shapiro or somebody in Diddy's team, probably the paralegals and investigators, when someone says something, that night, they're staying up all night. Maybe they have a deadline at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. where they're going to turn everything over to the attorneys, but their research team is trying to, let's prove that this person's lying or not telling the truth, okay? Cool. The judge says there are assaults on the Rule 608B. Is that fair? Shapiro says, no, it's not 608B. We're happy to provide the proffer ex parte. It's difficult to explain the fact. The judge says ex parte proffer is irregular, okay? Okay. Alexander Shapiro says, we want to put in album art from Miss Ventura's Love a Loser video. It shows she's engaged in business independent of Combs. You're gonna ask, why do you need those photos? Judge says, I was going to ask that. Shapiro says AUSAs have done it too. Just as I don't see the probative value of these defense exhibits, the defense is free to question the witness about them. What about drugs? You could ask that. Shapiro says, but it shows the witness taking drugs. And Mr. Combs didn't like it. AUSA says it's inadmissible. So apparently they had a video or they had some type of exhibit or a picture that showed Cassie taking drugs with somebody, right? With another witness. And they want to ask, yo, if y'all claim Diddy was drugging y'all, how the hell are y'all taking drugs out of his presence? And why is he scolding you for taking drugs out of his presence? Now, AUSA is probably, or the prosecution is, they felt like they addressed that before. They felt that, according to them, Cassie got a drug habit because of Diddy. And if Cassie took drugs outside of her or outside of him, it wasn't about him being there. It was about him instructing her to do it. For example, remember they would pop pills? They were like, oh, I'm about to get on the plane. You pop your pill, I'm about to pop my pill, or whatever they're doing. So it was okay for these people to take drugs outside of the presence of Diddy only if he instructed. So it goes to the sex trafficking thing of, you have somebody and controlling their actions and even sexual actions by fraud, force, or coercion, okay? All right, good. Let's keep it going. So the judge said the defense has to Monday to respond, and I guess they're talking about the judge says, Mr. Combs says it's whack or whack. It goes to a state of mind. It's admissible. Anything more? Cool. There's a Dr. Hughes letter. The defense has Monday to respond to the second testimony about coercive control, given what the Second Circuit said in U.S. versus Larry. AUSA says yes under that recent decision. So it looked like they're going to be challenging. Remember, Dr. Hughes went up on a stand and testified towards how a victim would stay in a relationship with someone who they supposedly were getting abused by and not leave, even though seemingly given the opportunity to leave multiple times. So we'll get to that. The AUSA says we're working on different instructions before the testimony of Jane, okay? On the pseudonym issue, judge says just hand it up. If you agree, I will read it. Does witness Briana Bongalong need a Fifth Amendment immunity order? They're saying yes. So now we have this person, Briana Bongalong. We're going to Google who that person is. Briana Bongalong. Who is that? Am I saying their name right? Okay, so look like that's a forensic video expert. Okay, that's a forensic video expert. Cool. Why would they need a Fifth Amendment? Oh, no. Never mind. That's the accuser who said Diddy dangled her off a balcony. Never mind. So I guess she's going to testify today. So she's going to testify and also forensic expert. We'll get to it. Okay, the judge says, I'll ask our courtroom deputy to check on our jury. The jury enters first. We wish to enter some exhibits into evidence before the jury. A search of second or two-star island by HSI found this cell phone, okay? The exhibits are excerpts of this data, all right? AUSA says the data shows Twitter exhibits, text to D-Rock, who says, we in the security room. The owner says, what does Shorty say? D-Rock says, Cass is calling studios looking for you. Owner says, what did she say on the other thing? Act like I'm not fucking with her. D-Rock says, okay. AUSA says, how is her eye? D-Rock says, I told everyone a fight broke out in the club. She ain't tripping. She ain't telling nobody. I'm about to call you. Judge says, thank you. The government may call this next witness. So it looked like they clearly just, it's kind of odd because who's on the stand when they do that? Look like they just show a exhibit. So they enter it into evidence, but the jury's there. Usually, other than opening and closing statements, you usually ask questions, not testify, because it's considered testifying if you're talking to the jury, you know what I mean, as a defense or a prosecutor. But it looked like they were just introducing evidence, okay? All right, okay. So they probably Matthew Russell probably typed this up. He probably typed this up instead of. Yeah, that's confusing. All right, we'll hear what really will happen when they come out of court. Okay, cool. AUSA, so they call Mr. Piazza, okay, as an expert, right? And they have asked this guy, they said, yo, where do you work? He says legal, audio, and video. And this is his website. It says, have you testified before? He says, yes, in mostly criminal matters. I've done also some civil and depositions. AUSA says, have you been qualified as an expert? Piazza says over 50 times. AUSA says we moved to qualify him as an expert. The defense has no objections. The judge says he's an expert, okay? So now what that means to in a trial setting is that he could speak to certain things that other people can't speak to. For example, if he says, based on my research and my background, that video was altered, that could be considered as evidence by the jury, as opposed to, say, Cassie testified and said, I think it was a fake video. That's going to be objected to because she's not an expert. You can't testify as an expert to shit you're not an expert for. So he could testify as an expert to the veracity of videos or cell phone videos or surveillance videos that was extracted from Diddy's phone. Okay, cool. So AUSA said, let me show you something. This is a video of a towel Combs kicking Cassie on the ground. That's the March 2016 footage. AUSA says, what's the frame rate? He said, what's the frame rate? So they're asking him fundamental foundational questions to make sure, and oftentimes why this happens, you need to school the jury on what the fuck is going on and give them a crash course that the expert's testimony can make sense. So frame rate is frame per second. It can cause a video to have more info per second. The Piazza says, this is a cell phone video, a video of a video. It was shot on a iPhone 6. It's 30 frames a second. It wasn't edited or tampered with, I found. AUSA says, how did you reach that conclusion? Says, yes, they're accurate. It said in the surveillance videos, it says there were some issues with that. Piazza says the clock was set to play 30 frames a second, but this was 22 frames. It played faster. So we had to account for that. AUSA says, how? We counted the frames and used software to correct the timing. AUSA says, were the surveillance videos altered? He says, no. So he says, basically, the recording of the video was not up to par. It wasn't 30 seconds per frame. Usually that's the standard. Even the cell phone records at least 30 frames per second. And he's saying that on the surveillance video, it wasn't. And the prosecutor is saying, did he tamper with the surveillance video? And he says, no, we didn't find any tampering. Cool. He says, here the video stream was corrupted. It's caused a distortion. AUSA says the whole file or maybe some small pieces. Piazza says the corruption exists in the video stream. There's a structure called a GOP, a group of pictures. We have predictive frames. Okay, I gotta make sure you guys can see what I'm saying. All right, cool. Piazza says, you don't know this, but a static camera does not re-record a wall that doesn't move each second. It is repeated. Only what move is recorded. Thank you. AUSA says, play 55 seconds. The video shows Combs throwing Cassie to the ground and kicks her. He said, did you see pixelation? Piazza says, yes. He says, does that represent manipulation? He says, no. He says, you can choose motion activity. The camera only turns on when there's motion, but it causes timestamp issues. Go back frame by frame. I want to point something out. So the guy is kind of breaking down this video of Cassie getting assaulted. And the government has him up there to prove that if Diddy's defense was ever going to be, this is a fake ass video, this is AI, niggas edited it. Remember, that's one of the things that Diddy's team was saying. Y'all niggas edited the fuck out of that video. Y'all cut a piece out. Y'all made it look worse than it is, even though it's pretty bad. But it was saying you cut some shit out that kind of didn't show the full altercation. That just made it look like Diddy was wilding on her the whole time, right? Piazza says there seems to be a collision of two issues, okay? Now, what this guy's testifying, what I think the prosecutor's trying to extract in terms of information, is that the government didn't actually alter the video. Is that the security camera only captures motion detected video, which means when there's no motion, that shit is not in the video. So the missing timestamps is because there was no motion. Okay? That's what he's giving this knowledge on. Okay, cool. So he says, this seems to be a collision between two issues. Look at the male sitting down. There appears to be a ghost of a person. The motion activity begins to sense that we have motion. Now there's full figure in that frame. The file is corrupted. It said, did you make a compilation? Piazza says, yes. Our office requested it. They are edited to track the movement of the individual inside the events. He says, does it have a different camera angles in it? Piazza says, yes. He said, how did you show the changes? He said, a black screen. AUSA says, is this a compilation? Piazza says, yes. AUSA says, play the first 30 seconds. What is happening? Piazza says, the male is running down the hallway, and he now throws her down. shit, my bad. Chat, I'm a little discombobulated today because I gotta open the chat on this other computer, which is like right here. This is usually my prep computer. I see some people arriving in here late. They said, explain what happened yesterday, man. I did give an explanation of to what happened yesterday. You got to tune in immediately when the stream starts. I already told you guys what happened. Just rewind the stream. You'll get it. It's at the top of the stream. Okay? I don't want to keep going back on it to derail what we're doing. Okay. Just give me a second. I just got to get the chat up. Okay. I'm reading from King Akademiks chat today. All right? By the way, thank you guys for the 5 new membership. All right? Perfect. So it says this is a compilation. Yes. The play the first 30 seconds. All right, cool. He says the male's run down the hallway. He throws her down. Now he drags her. It's on the screen. The AUSA says, what did the man just do? He says he's dragging a woman. He's holding the bag. Dragging a woman holding the bag. AUSA says, what is he holding? It appears to be a cell phone. It looks like it's glowing. Let's focus on what happened in the mirror. Play back. What happened? And Piazza says the male picked up a small object, which appears to be a vase, and threw it across the room at the woman. AUSA says, continue playing. Who's emerging now? Piazza says that's the female with the duffel, her luggage. Now who? Now there's a security person. AUSA says, now the man, Combs, is walking away. What is he holding? He's holding a cell phone. He puts it to his ear. Do you find these things accurate? He says, yes. And this was all the footage that I had. AUSA says, let's turn to the sex videos. Oh, shit. God damn it. So now they're trying to validate. So they're going to bring this video guy to validate that all the videos are not AI and they're actually what they actually are. Okay. So let's turn to the sex videos, PX 201 and 210. Let me clarify. These are under seal. These were recovered from the Frank Black user on a device provided to the U.S. by Miss Ventura. AUSA says these are enhanced versions of original videos created in 2012 and 2014. So it looked like they enhanced the videos, but these are sex videos that, Cassie kept of supposed freak-offs. I'm imagining they're not showing this in the gallery. Only Cassie, well, not Cassie, only the expert, maybe the defense team and the jury could see them. All right. Mr. Piazza, what were you asked to do with the sexually explicit videos? I was asked to enhance the audio component. We admitted these videos into evidence, and no further question. The judge actually breaks, and then they're back. Tenny Garagos actually says, what's your understanding of the source of these surveillance videos? Piazza says they came from the native system. Tenny says, how did they come to your possession? Piazza says, well, they were exported and transcoded. Garagos then says, who gave the surveillance videos to you? Said the U.S. Attorney Office. He says, who gave it to them? Says, I don't know. Says, did you say it was from a cheap system? Piazza says, I don't think I said that. Says, let me show you your notes. Check out your notes. Sean G style, huh? Hear what you said. Yo, my nigga kept doing the let me refer you to your notes. Chad, I gotta get my little notepad back popping, man. Okay. Gargo says, let me show you your notes. AUSA says, this is only for the witness, okay? The judge says, yes. Gargo says, so you did call it cheap, right? Piazza says, I don't know when this document was created. Gargo says, but you did think the system was cheap, right? Piazza says, yeah, in a way. Gargo says, let me play you 10C 103, okay? Gargo says, there are minutes not shown. Piazza says, this is my corrected version, but there are a few issues that we can't correct. The system is buffering some of the time, and some of the portions were motion activated. Gargo says, let's play again the male coming into the elevator bank at 11:02. And then the timestamps are jumping around. Now, by the way, I'm going to be honest with you, chat, and this is why this person being on the stand is really short. That video is so damning. It's no way you could be sane to say, oh that was fake video. You'd be an idiot, right? Like, that would be losing the case. So I think they're just kind of, trying to poke a few holes, and maybe this is, maybe all the videos aren't as bad as they seem, but they're not going to say this thing didn't happen. I mean, they've copped the biggest plea already to say, yo, you're going to see some things. And Tenny Garrigo said it at the beginning of the trial when she did the opening. She said, you're going to see some things about Diddy. And yo, he was violent. And that was not them throwing the case. That was them saying, we're not denying that he put hands on some of these hoes. Like he probably did that, but that's not why he's being charged. We got to think about why he's being charged. Okay. So it says the timestamps are jumping around. On the video, Cassie being kicked on the ground. Piazza says it's a constant playing catch-up. Garrigo says, play ahead. We're at 11:11:28. So this is in the morning that day. Garrigo says the female picks up a house phone. There's some sort of cutout. Can you explain? Piazza says, could you back up and go frame by frame? Garrigo says, sure. But is the male separated from her? Piazza says the bag drop triggered it. Garrigo says it's a 10-second difference. So they're trying to act like there's more things in between the constant beating. There's a programming note. So even I lost track of the thread for some time, kept revert to underground, now resuming, but this needs to be fixed. So let's watch it again. Did we just jump about 10 seconds on the timestamp? It says yes. He said there's a 5-second offset between the two cameras. That's what you just showed, right? Garrigo says, okay. The female picks up the phone, and the male walks away and start again. Is this him walking away? By the way, you should also know Diddy's team won't refer to Combs being in the video. They're not going to deny it, but they're not going to admit it. So they're not going to say, does it show Combs walking away? They'll just say, does it show a man or a male? Again, it's one of those things that you don't admit, even if it's obvious, you don't admit even on a subliminal level that in guilt of any sort. So yes, Garrigo says play more. Okay, so they keep going through this. Do you see this translucent or ghost-like figure in the cell phone video in the surveillance video? It says that cell phone video was not high quality enough to capture it. It says, but it's not there. Piazza says it's not. Garrigo says, Mr. Piazza, thank you so much for coming. We have no further questions. Judge asks Smizer if they want to do a redirect. Smizer says, okay. Piazza. So they're 5 minutes off? That's what you're saying about these videos? Piazza says, my notes told me there was about 5 minute and 55-second difference, and then there was another offset by 5 seconds. AOSA says, do these videos reliably and accurately depict what happened? Piazza says, yes. Judge says you may go. And they said, before a next witness, sidebar, sidebar, sidebar. Okay, so they take a sidebar. And was there a jump in? Huh. Okay. So they took a sidebar. They're back just now. AUSA says, we're going to call Briana Bongalong. Now, this is the one that Diddy supposedly hung off the balcony. Okay? Wale, you could finally breathe easy. They've been quizzing Wale about being hung off the balcony for the longest, chat. And again, you know I often try to refer to other things, but only while we're waiting for tweets. Wale denies being dangled off the balcony. Did y'all see this?
Brought up and something with the Diddy situation.
Why are you asking me about that stuff?
I was gonna say, to clear it up, you weren't involved in it.
I never got in an altercation with that man.
Yeah.
I've never been in an altercation with nobody in the industry.
Yeah.
Never had close calls, but not him. Definitely, like that. It was made up by somebody who was just trolling and it just went.
Yeah, I know you were, because when they throw people's names in it when you have nothing to do with it, I know that's like.
It's a topic to get to go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like no.
Your name was brought up in something with the Diddy situation.
Okay, so he didn't want to talk about it. Then I think he was asked about it another time. This is how the story went, right?
I know, like the poppin' people, Wale been telling us, like before we even get to the studio with him and Cassie in the studio, Wale was already telling us, like, man, we better go to the studio with Cassie. Man, Diddy be acting crazy over her. Diddy don't want nobody working around her.
Let me go I'm grabbing my second coffee too. Give me a second.
Her too wild or make her feel uncomfortable, or if you see her security guards with her, just prepping us on how crazy Diddy act over her. Like any guys that's around her in her vicinity, while Diddy not around, he kirks off, he goes off. We make it through the session. We probably like an hour in the session, like an hour into the session, maybe two. her and Wale doing what they do in the studio, but they helping each other. It's just professional, y'all. It ain't nothing like, they ain't doing nothing weird. I don't feel no weird vibes. I don't see no flirting or nothing. It's really professional. They making good music. So I'm off, not paying no attention. I been heard what he told me before we walk in here about Diddy be tripping, but I'm just thinking like Diddy be tripping. I swear to God, y'all. Diddy and his security guards walked through this room. I told y'all. But I don't know. I guess they wasn't supposed to be there doing it in person together. They were supposed to send it or whatever, but they was trying to keep and do it in person together because they ain't thinking Diddy gonna pop up in here. Like, Diddy probably somewhere living his natural born life. At least that's what they thought. I swear, y'all, Diddy got like little secret people that follow her places. Like when she go in little restaurants, like his girlfriends, like he keep eyes on to see who they cheating on. Like he that crazy. It's some obsessive Diddy. Like it's crazy. The world know about it though. Like the crazy parties, Diddy be crazy over them girls, like super duper stalking. Like he be having private investigators following him. No niggas can't go around him. He very controlling. I swear to God. So that's what the vibe is. So Diddy walks in. Diddy walk in, Wale and him in the bathroom. Wale and the girl in the booth, but they doing the music part. Me and Shy over here. I don't know it's Diddy who walked in. I just see these big security guys and a nigga in black, like it's a black sweatsuit and a hat. I can't really see who it is, but I know it's another celebrity important person because this room only important people walking in this room. This ain't even no type of room you can get in unless you're an important person. But he came in with aggression. They moving. But I seen security guards with him, so I knew it wasn't nothing.
Now, so we're now finding out there's another person, but here's the thing. That there's another person that was hung off the balcony, Briana Bungalong, who's taking I'm fucking up her name, that's taking a stand now. Here's the thing. You got to remember, this is back in the 90s, or not really the 90s, but like, Diddy's a nigga from the 90s. So like, it sounds crazy when we hear it like dangling off the balcony, but it probably doesn't sound that crazy when you kind of hear like that was like an intimidation thing for them niggas in the 90s. Didn't they dangle, what's the guy named Vanilla Ice off the balcony? Didn't Suge Knight do that?
For us, like it was no threat to us or me or Shy. It was like control because they had to get in, they had to go through all this, so you know it's somebody.
By the way, don't worry, King Akademiks channel. I'm gonna tweet out our stream today.
Number one.
Hold on, and I'm gonna use that link. So I'll get y'all guys a couple more people up in there.
And then I looked, it was like a glance once he got a little bit past me. I'm like, damn, that's Diddy. I ain't say nothing. I looked at Shy. Shy looked at me. I was not about to run in there. First of all, I'm here with Shy. I'm just not about to run in there and say Wale and be like, Wale, Diddy come. That was out of, I would have died. Like, that's out of my control. First of all, this Puff Daddy, I promise you, I don't know what gangsta I do in the street. Uncle Buck, this is off my list. This is off my radar right here. I can't do nothing with this. I'm gonna stand down. So, man, Shy like, oh. So as they go in there, they go back there, but they shut the door. It's a blind, all right. It's a studio part, the booth part. It's like a blind back there. Like, it's a pop part. They do orchestra back there. So with a booth at, it's like an orchestra, like a church show. You can open it and you can see in the studio where they record, or you can shut it. Like don't y'all ever been to a graduation in the blind shut? You can shut the blinds and you can't even see back there. Diddy and them went back there and shut the blinds. All I heard was a rock, but not punches, like shit, like moving around, tables and shit. But I'm like, oh. So me and Shy run to the blinds. We peeping through the blinds. I'm peeping through the blinds. Shy peeping through the blinds. I swear for God, it's a balcony in the studio, like an out balcony. You can see over the back. I swear to God, my grandmother, they got Wale over top of his feet. They got him off his feet, hanging off the balcony. Like, he hanging off the balcony. They dangling by his feet. I can't really hear what they saying. I'm like, Shy, man, be quiet. Shy don't know what's going on. First of all, Shy can go back and help Wale. This is man. He can go back to Shy and he must move. I swear to God. Shy like, man, what they doing? I said, man, they got him over the balcony by his feet. They're like, man, no, he don't. That ain't him. Like, so that is him. We knew it was him because we know what type of shoes Wale wore to the studio, and we seen them jump up in the air. So
Nigga was getting dangled over the balcony wearing some retro Jordans, man. That shit's crazy, huh? Okay. All right, okay. So now this woman is here. The government calls Briana Bongolan or Bongolan? Whatever. It says, what else are you called? She says, Bana. They said, what do you work in? They said, well, I work in the fashion industry. I'm a fashion designer. AUSA says, what did Mr. Combs do to you? He held me over a 17-story balcony. AUSA says, and any after effects? He says, well, I had night terrors. I wake up in my sleep. He said, who's this? He says, yeah, that's Cassie. Cassie was my friend. I met her in 2013 at Young and Reckless, the streetwear company. Then at Diamond Designs. AUSA says, how would you describe Cassie's relationship with Mr. Combs? Bongalin says, volatile. I didn't want to meet him right away. I had seen a black eye. She begged me to meet him. AUSA says, did you design and work for Combs? Yeah, I did a little bit. AUSA says, where did Combs live? I think he lived in Beverly Hills. And now we got Nicole Westmoreland, who's actually doing this cross. So let me see if I can look up this woman. I just want to see if she looks like Briana Bongolan. Is it Banner the Goat? Yeah, I think this is her. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is her. She got pictures of Cassie. This is her. Where is her? I guess this would be her. Is this her? I don't know. This is her? I don't know. It says Banner right here. I don't know if she's one of these ladies. I can't tell. She might be. If this is her, she might be lesbian. She got a ring next to the thing, and with this person, it says engaged to Banner the Goat. Damn, she got a baddie, huh? Nah, never mind. My boy Dr. Umar said we can't indulge right now, man. Yeah, we can't accredit this. Yo, is this premium milk or what? Chat. Is this premium milk, soy milk, whole milk, 2% or 1%? Y'all gotta let me know. All right. Like, anyway, not that this matters. But if you want to know who this person is that's making, I guess, these allegations, looks like this is them. All right. But they're a stylist or something. Okay. Or fashion designer. All right. By the way, interestingly enough, they bring up Westmoreland. I'm trying to, the reason why I looked her up, I knew she wasn't black, but I'm trying to see where and why they're using, this whole team. You got to remember, there's a lot of people on Diddy's defense team. So trying to figure out who is being used for what is, maybe we could get their game plan understood a little bit more. So Nicole Westmoreland, she says objection, speculation. Now, obviously, she's objecting here. She's not cross-examining, and we've only seen her cross-examine a black woman so far. But she might be the person who's going to be cross-examining this witness as well. It says, judge says, ask another question. AUSA says, do you know the name of the street? It says Mapleton, 200 South Mapleton. AUSA says, what did you do with Cassie? Well, I did a bunch of drugs. We'd go shopping. We'd hang out with Deontay. Deontay was the guy. By the way, if you don't realize what's happening, they're connecting the dots. Deontay was one of the assistants that got immunity and also testified. We'd hang out with Deontay and others. It says, is this a photo of you and Cassie shopping? Bongolan says, yes, in April 2016. By the way, that's about 2 or 3 months, actually a month after Diddy supposedly did that to Cassie in that hotel. Puffs texted Cassie and asked where she was. He sent a list where we've been. AUSA says, had you or Cassie told Mr. Combs where you were? Bongolan says, no. AUSA says, how did it make you feel? Combs says, objection. Judge says, overrule. Bongolan says, oh my God, he knows where we've been. Where would you sleep at Cassie's? I would sleep on the couch or the balcony. Huh? She would sleep on the balcony. What the fuck? So look like in 2016, April, Puff hit up Cassie, asked where she was, and sent a list where we've been. So look like Diddy would ask, yo, where the fuck have you been? And you got to tell him where you've been. Had you or Cassie told Mr. Combs where you were? No. How did it make you feel? Okay. Then they say she was scared because Diddy knew where she was. Okay. Said, did Mr. Combs come over? Says, yes. He banged on the door. He came in. He said, do you know how? I said, I don't know how. He was upset. He threw a knife in her direction, and she threw it back. Ooh, okay. That's interesting. It's the first time we hear a witness actually say that there was some sort of retaliation, even though it's still being understood that this was initiated by Winning Ways says, Pornhub sent me like a whole thing. I got Pornhub socks. The boxers had to cut it there. I couldn't wear no Pornhub boxers. Like, come on, man. It's like they're trying to put me in the back of the fan bus or whatever the fuck they're going on. You know, the little bang bus shit. But yeah, ever since I got introduced to Baddie Hub, I'm off Pornhub right now. Like right now, it's a Baddie Hub thing. It's a Baddie Hub thing. I ain't gonna cap with you. Anyway, back to the stuff. It's one of my favorite sweaters, though. Okay. He banged on the door, came in. Do you know how? Okay, he was upset. He threw a knife in her direction. She threw it back. Wow, they're kind of violent with each other. Obviously, Diddy initiated this first, so who cares, right? Okay, so were they doing drugs, or were you doing drugs? He said, I don't remember. It looked like she was strung out, too. Looked like she was a drug partner of Cassie, right? Did you call the police? No. Why not? I was scared. Did you see injuries on Cassie? Yes, she showed me on FaceTime before the makeup for the perfect match. What did she say? She was quiet. Yeah, again, they're taking this 360 approach of all like corroborating the same story. And I think the story, we clearly know there was violence, but there is this, they're almost hinting towards it's more than violence. We're all scared. We couldn't do anything. We felt we couldn't move. We felt we couldn't leave. We felt we couldn't even call for help. We were just scared, right? Wow. Okay. By the way, you know what I saw today? I seen Joe Tacopino, who was posted by 50 Cent. He was on TMZ yesterday, and he was like, he was arguing up a storm with a bunch of people. Let me make this a little small that you can see it. And for him, I'm going to be honest with you, he just won the A$AP Rocky case. One thing I realize about defense attorneys, they're always in defense attorney mode. So you have Nancy Grace, who is usually siding with people who claim they have been victimized. Then you have, I think this is Ebony K. Williams. She used to be on the Joe Budden podcast, I believe, or something of the sort. And obviously she's going to be an advocate for black women. And then you have this woman, I don't remember her name, but listen to some of this conversation. And the reason I'm playing this is that I love listening to actual attorneys because they're going to give certain perspectives that someone like me, myself, or whoever, I need somebody with actual training, right? Like someone who has actual training doing cases to talk about who's winning, who's not. Here we go.
Who'd be cooperating against his boss, saying, yes, we were part of an enterprise. I did.
Okay.
People, I think, as just said, 2 people have been granted immunity, and they're.
Here we go.
If this real.
So the question that Taco Pina starts taking up is that, okay, we get the domestic violence stuff, but he's also looking at it from a defense perspective to say, we still haven't seen this sent all the way home on the racketeering stuff. That's what a lot of people have been saying, but watch his actions or his, line of thought with it.
Really is, and it's a crime organization. Why isn't anybody else being prosecuted other than Diddy?
Immunity.
They're starting at the top.
Well, who got
Did
immunity?
they give
We don't know that
Well,
others
we've already
won't be.
heard 2 people, I think, as.
Now, listen, it depends on how you use your brain, Chad. You got to think logically here, right? And this is why I usually think about I give people like Taco Pino, I think he's higher IQ level than these people right here. They're just going to talk that victim bullshit talk. Not saying Cassie or whoever can be a victim, but they stop using logic just because their emotion already convicted this person, right? Again, in court, you got to go with, obviously the jury does go off emotion as well, but you got to go with the facts. And he brought up an interesting point that I wanted to bring up to you guys, because the idea of, if this is a racketeering case, the biggest thing you have to prove is that there was an enterprise, there was a racket. So now, you can't just say Bad Boy is a racket just because it's a company. You got to show that there were other people that was complicit and that was taking a part of this conspiracy. That's the clear, like, what RICO falls under is something called conspiracy. A conspiracy takes more than one person to have a understanding or agreement that they're going to carry out some type of criminal behavior. You have to know. So there can't be a conspiracy if only one person knows. That wouldn't, by definition, be a conspiracy. It would just be one person manipulating a whole bunch of other people. So his point is, well, where are the other people? Why aren't they charged? And I'm kind of giving away what they're going to say. She's going to say, well, there's something could be called unindicted co-conspirators. Also, they got immunity. But here's the thing about immunity, and here's how he argues. Because he's saying, what immunity? Like,
as just said, 2 people have been granted immunity. And there is a thing such as unindicted co-conspirators. These co-defendants are now witnesses. They're being used to get...
Exactly. And he said an important thing. He's saying who. Usually unindicted co-conspirators are usually, it's very clear.
Combs. And there's nothing wrong with that.
We've heard Cuddy's testimony. We've heard Cuddy's testimony.
No one has
Yes, they
cooperation
do.
agreements.
Joe, yes, they do. One of the
immunity-
assistants testified.
Now, he's making a very interesting point, and that's what I'm saying. This guy is an amazing fucking lawyer. I could tell. Because, and Nancy Grace, I believe, was a former attorney. I think she has some law degree or something of the sort, and I think she covers all these cases too. I mean, Taco Pina is right. What these people are doing is walking into court, and they're getting what's called immunity, or not necessarily immunity, but they're getting immunity for their testimony. Okay? That doesn't mean they did a crime. It just means that if they say something that has them admit to doing a crime, they can't get charged. The point that he's making is that if this is a RICO case, Diddy can't be the only one doing wrong. There's other people that does wrong. And the way how you usually treat them is not just by giving them quote unquote immunity for a testimony. You give them what's called a cooperation agreement, which means if you don't cooperate, your ass go to jail. That's how it works. People don't just show up just off of a subpoena, because some of these people could duck it. We see one of these witnesses ducking it. Well, actually, they're victims supposedly. They ducked it, but obviously as a victim, they wouldn't be charged. But there's 2 different ways. And in the federal government is really simple when it comes to, or the federal judicial system is really simple when it comes to cooperation. There's no secret cooperation. There's no like, oh, okay, you're working. You're going to sign what's called a 5K1 letter, okay? Or you're going to be doing it under the idea of Rule 35. Those are the only way that if you are going to be charged with a crime, because remember, that's what he's saying. We're seeing immunity deals from quote unquote witnesses that may have felt like they bought some drugs, but they wasn't part of the RICO, right? A true co-conspirator needs what's called a 5K1 letter. If you testify, we will sign off on this thing that will allow the judge to not send you to jail or whatever, right? And we'll at the sentencing, but he's saying that nobody's charged. That's the point. So this immunity thing is that these people ain't charged at all.
He said,
he bought drugs. He got immunity because he purchased drugs. That's not
2
what we're
witnesses
talking about.
got immunity.
We're talking about
That's
a
also
hierarchy,
immunity.
like a lieutenant who'd be cooperating against his boss, saying, yes, we were part of an enterprise. I did wrong, but he did wrong with me.
The illegal acts that he committed.
Exactly. So none of the people who got immunity is admitting that they were part of the conspiracy. They're just saying, we were just working. We didn't know what was going on. If we had to get drugs for him, we just got drugs. So that's the point that's blowing up the RICO, right? The racketeer in charge. There needs to be people that has an understanding and is complicit with the plan to commit a crime. Not some person that does one act. Oh, I just went to go. I love using this for the RICO, right? Because this is a conspiracy. The conspiracy is to go rob a bank. Yo, you go get the duct tape, you go get the rope, blah, blah, blah. If you send an assistant to go get the duct tape and then everybody get arrested, the assistant had no idea the duct tape was for the assistant had no idea that the duct tape was for the bank robbery. You can't charge them with RICO. Do you get what I'm saying? It's the same thing with a Dirk case. So in the Dirk case, the assistant or the booker, whoever the person is that use the OTF credit cards, they don't know we're booking flights for niggas to commit a murder. That's why they don't get caught up in that murder for hire, RICO, or racketeer conspiracy charge. Because it's not a shared understanding, and they can't prove that that person booked that flight other than just doing their job. Right? Now, yes, booking that flight ended up turning into a murder, but they're not liable for that. You know what I mean? Now, the government could probably still pursue them, but at that point, you probably wanted to just give them immunity or something to have them cooperate as a witness. But if it's charges, it's going to be hard to really charge that person. That's what Taco Pina is saying. Until we see and that's why I said if KK takes a stand, I'll just back the fuck up from this case. Because KK could testify, yeah, I knew me and Diddy would plan these things. I knew what we were doing is illegal. We were planning these crimes. I knew he was doing X, Y, and Z, and this is how we would do it on an organization. That is clear RICO. But these other people be like, yeah, he told me to get the baby oil. It's not fucking RICO. Like, yo, you're an assistant. You do shit like that, right? So I like the argument he makes.
The
While
kid who was the
cooperating
assistant who bought
under the
drugs.
orders of Diddy, he was granted immunity for. So yeah, he got up on the
That's
stand,
immunity because
and many of them have
bought
said,
drugs.
"I'm here,
Two of them.
and I don't want
We're
to
not
be."
talking.
Yeah. So he's making his point again. The immunity is because you're admitting in federal court that you purchased an illegal item. To make sure if you could, the only way you could give that testimony is to get immunity that they can't ever charge you by your own words for admitting to buying drugs. But that has nothing to do with you being in this criminal organization that is sex trafficking. You get what I'm saying?
But yes, I understand. You're right, Ashley. But that's about purchasing drugs. What Harvey's asking, I think, or even Nancy may have mentioned this, was about the people who get immunity for doing this are people who normally are the lieutenants, the underbosses, the assistants, the higher-ranking people in the conspiracy.
Joe, I think that you're holding,
They weren't here,
Sean
like
Combs
Kaplan.
to a very particular standard of what you are accustomed to racketeering looking like. Maybe here, in a traditional mafia, Goodfellas style enterprise. I think Nancy hit it on the head. There's kind of two levels of this operation. Sean Combs, the Emperor King Almighty himself, and minions, straight minions. He doesn't have a 5-pronged tier system like some of the more sophisticated organizations I think you're referencing.
So, hey,
Except for the girlfriends.
I want to bring in Mia. We talked about her. She is one of Diddy's ex-assistants.
Okay. We'll leave that there. We're gonna come back to this. We're gonna come back to that interview consistently. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Somebody said Pornhub they're not a sponsor of today. Y'all are funny. Okay, good. So we're gonna call her Briana because I'm gonna fuck up this name every time. So Briana says she's seen the injuries on FaceTime. She said, what did she say? She was quiet. Briana says, we were at a party at Blind Dragon, a karaoke bar in West Hollywood. Then we went to Cassie's house to help her pack. Deontay was there. Puff came. Says, are you under subpoena right now? Briana says, yes. I won't get in trouble if I'm truthful. So she's telling why she's there. She's got subpoenaed. And that's why I'm in agreement with what Taco Pina says. These aren't people that are co-conspirators. They're just witnesses. They got subpoenaed. And were they like smoking crack? Not saying Cassie smoked crack. They might have smoked crack back in the day with Cassie. So yeah, if I got to admit to smoking crack, give me some motherfucking immunity. But we're still looking for the real co-conspirators, right? Or I think the argument for a defense attorney to make is, how come y'all didn't charge the co-conspirators, but it still remains to be seen. They could flip on Diddy at the end. That's why I keep saying D-Rock. Because if you're asking me who the co-conspirators would be, D-Rock, Uncle Paulie, KK. Those should be people also in cuffs sitting there watching what's going on. D-Rock would hit up witnesses for Diddy. Right? KK would handle a lot of bidding. That's an organization, and that makes the RICO real. But a few assistants cleaning up baby oil is that's, you know what I mean? Anyway. Okay, it says, did Mr. Combs provide you with drugs? Briana says, yes, one was called G. I'm not an avid user. And then it was ketamine. marijuana, coke. It says, how much did you get drugs for, or how often did you get drugs for Cassie? It says, pretty often, man. Them damn oxy pills, okay? Did she pay you? It says, yes, she paid me. AUSA says, did you ever get drugs for Mr. Combs? He says, yes, once. I got him some cocaine. AUSA says, did you sell drugs to others? She says, yes. I ain't gonna lie, she do kind of look like a type of woman who probably got the ill plug, huh? But she do look like she got the ill drug plug, right? Yeah, she look like she got some drugs right here. She even hold the purse like it's some drugs in there or whatever this is. AUSA says, did you sell drugs to others? Briana says, yes. AUSA says, did you try with Cassie to stop drugs? She says, yes, we tried to cook, but there were a lot of drugs around. AUSA says, has Mr. Combs ever threatened you? Briana says, yes. AUSA says, let me show you a photo from April 2016. Who's in it? Says, there's a photographer. Can I not speak? There's a photographer. No, photographer. No, my bad. Yeah, photographer. Jesus Christ. That's when my Jamaican accent starts fucking up with my like American English accent, and I start fucking up pronunciations of words. Anyway, who goes by the name of Bad Boy with an I. We thought it was cool that was his name. We thought we made some art. Briana says, yo, Puff came up to my face and says, I am the devil, and I could kill you. She starts to cry. On the stand, that is. So Briana's crying on the stand. AUSA says, were you taking drugs that day? She says, yeah, probably some cocaine. AUSA says, did you continue to see Mr. Combs after that? She says, yes. They says, why? She says she doesn't know. That's also another thing, chat. We're hearing a lot of these victims, and AUSA.
So the Diddy and Cassie situation has been getting freakier and freakier by the day. The more and more I hear about these allegations, Diddy is a freaky man, the king of the freak-offs. And Cassie, you feel me, she was young, vulnerable. But like what Ak said, she could have left. Like, Diddy was not holding her well. You know, this is what's hard for me. Allegedly, Diddy wasn't holding her hostage, but she said on the video that came out in the hotel where he hit her over and drug her back, she was trying to leave one of the freak-offs. And Diddy said, oh no, you're not going to leave the freak-offs. You got it. Yeah. Wait till the dude, bust a nut, allegedly. Then all over you, then scrape it off, go in the other room and rub it on my nipples. That's what he wanted. It sounds so crazy to say, but that's what Diddy wanted. Like, we seen him in the robe. I thought he was just fresh out the shower, but allegedly he was probably butt naked. I'm surprised there was no baby oil on her or him, or she wiped it off. That's why he was so mad. It was no baby oil on. Hey, man. I genuinely feel bad for Cassie. I feel bad for her husband, too, because he has to be in court and he's listening to all these things. And I don't really think Cassie's lying about anything. Like, Cassie just seems like a nice girl, probably, like, gentle, innocent. Like, and she just wanted a career. Like, man, I'm struggling here because I want to be very, very honest about everything. Like, my point of view. I don't think Diddy was the best of best people. And I think everything he did to Cassie was wrong. And it was definitely manipulative and all that stuff. But, like, is it sex trafficking, though? Like, this is what he's charged for. Like, domestic violence, yes. Assault, yes. Like, probably a bunch of other crazy stuff, yes. But sex trafficking, bro, I don't know if you could say he was sex trafficking. But it's only day 2 of the trial. And I'm gonna be very, very unbiased about every single thing I say. It's day 2 of the trial. Diddy is he's there every day. They say that he's looking white as hell, he's gray as hell. He's, you feel me? They said he was looking at Cassie the whole time. But day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe 2 weeks later, there might be someone else taking the stand, and we don't know how that's gonna go. Maybe like 3 days later, there's gonna be a new person taking the stand, and they just expose it. everything about Diddy. Like, we don't know fully everything Diddy has done yet. Like, there might have been men that he was having free calls with. Like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, Act was the line about what he said. Diddy should just came out and said that he was a flexible, bro. He should just said he was bisexual, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. And what Act said, bro, all these rappers gotta come out who was around Diddy, like really, really hung around Diddy and was like really cool with him. They need to come out and like, yeah, bro. You gotta defend yourself, your integrity. You feel me? But your boy Big Act News. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. And do you feel like Diddy's innocent, or do you feel like he's guilty? And we're talking about sex trafficking. Like, we're not talking about is he a good person or not. Do you think he's guilty of sex trafficking, Cassie? It's your boy Big Act News, and I'm out.